All right, good morning, everyone. See, I told you, Bob. All right. Yes, very early in the morning. I'm going to get through this as quickly as possible because I've got 15 inches of white evil outside that I have to dispose of. So, yeah, a lot of great games last night. Very intriguing for a lot of different reasons. All right, first game was in Carolina. Port Huron's road trip from hell finally ends. All things considered, I think they did pretty well. But last night was not their night. They fall 9-5 to the Thunderbirds, and this game, in essence, was over early. Although Port Huron did crawl their way back into making it a bit of a contest. Um, First three goals in 3 minutes. It's Peter Panachek, it's Gus Ford, and John Butita scoring in the first period. Sokolov started again in goal, like he did the night before, as did Frankie McClendon. Just wasn't Sokolov's night tonight. So he gets pulled at the 7:31 mark after Butita's goal. But it's 3-0 after one Carolina. Mitch Jones, he had himself another good week. So he scores for the Prowlers at 3:09 on the power play. But Gus Ford counters 39 seconds later. John Butita adds another goal a minute 11 later. And then Mitch Jones, he tries to get the Prowlers going. He scores in the power play again. And then Carolina scores with Yuri Pastuka getting credit for power play goal at 17:12. In the middle of the second period, Matt Graham ends up getting a match penalty for a spear. Face palms all around. All right, enough of that. So for the third period, Sokolov comes back in because obviously having Wallace in goal just didn't make any difference, and he kicked the net off the net off the post 5 times. But anyway, on to other things. Third period, it's Josh Keplinger scoring. And then Scantlebury scores for Port Huron. Freeborn scores to make it kind of interesting. But John Butita gets his hat trick. Mitch Jones decides to get a hat trick of his own. And then finally, closing out the scoring, it's Dawson Baker with an empty net goal. And so, yeah, final 9-5. Lots of pucks going into the net. Not the night that a goalie wanted to have. But Freeborn, he ends up with a goal and 4 assists on the night. And Mitch Jones gets his hat trick. Sokolov, he's the goalie of record for the Prowlers. He was 17 out of 22 in just over 26 total minutes played. John Butita, he gets his hat trick. Dawson Baker notched that goal at the end of the game. Plus, he had 3 helpers. And McClendon, it was good enough for the win, 33 out of 38. So Port Huron now 10-11-4. Carolina 19-5 and still in second place. That's insane. All right, then Motor City went from Watertown down to Binghamton. They beat the Snow. They didn't beat the Black Bears. Kind of beat themselves in a way. Motor City gets on the board first, and Josh Colton. Motor City started on the power play almost right away. Josh Colton takes advantage, puts the only puck past Connor McAnanima all night. Meanwhile, Ricardo Gonzalez, he started. I thought it was going to be Blake Scott, and nope, it was Gonzalez again. And it just wasn't his night tonight. He just got absolutely peppered. Nikita Vashin scores 2:33, 16:47. Jake Schultz, who just arrived back from Worcester, he scores. It's 2-1 after the first, and Motor City just they just were a shell of themselves the rest of the game. It really was. In the second period, it was Binghamton, all Binghamton. Tyson Kirkby, Andrew Logar, Connor Smith. The goal with Connor Smith was weird in one sense, in that a minute before he scored, there was a face-off. TJ Sneath faces off against Josh Fletcher. Sneath spears Fletcher on the draw. Nothing's called. Okay, play continues for a minute. Connor Smith scores. There's a celebration, and the referees all gathered together. The linesman said, "Hey, you missed this." And so after the Smith score, then they said, "Sneath, you're gone." He gets a match penalty for a spear. So it is what it is. Okay, Dakota Bond scores in the last minute of the second period. It's 6-1, and then in the second period or third period, excuse me, Jake Schultz adds a second goal, as does Connor Smith. It's 8-1 Binghamton with 64 shots on goal. Poor Rico Suave. I felt bad for him. I really did. Because he just got no help. Stops 56 shots and still gives up 8 goals. It was not a good night for the Rockers. They fall to 14-6-4. Binghamton improves to 18-2-5. 3,300 on hand despite the snow. Jake Schultz with 2 goals and 2 assists. Connor Smith, 2 goals and an assist. And Connor McAnanima went 21 for 22 for the win. All right. The reason why I'm wearing this stuff is because we had a no-no last night. Taylor Joseph stands in net for the River Dragons and stops everything. Third time in 3 weeks that Blue Ridge has been shut out, not counting their bye week. So, Blue Ridge has to figure something out. 7-0 final. Sounds like a football game. Columbus all over Blue Ridge. Justin McDonald gets the game-winning goal at 55 seconds into the first period. And that basically says everything right there. We also had goals from Josh Pietrantonio in the first. In the second, it was Ryan Hunter, Alexander Jemayev, and McDonald again. Just to add insult to injury in the third, Hunter Bersani and Carson Andrioli add tallies. Connor Green, his first start back since his time in the SP, stops 39-46. Just wasn't his night because it was Taylor Joseph's night, stopping all 31 shots that he faced. J-Mac, he ends up with 2 goals, 2 assists. Hunter Bersani ends up with a goal and assist, and now Columbus holding on to a 1-point lead in the Continental Division. 17-3-2 is their record. Blue Ridge 5-14-2. The thriller of the night, down in the Bayou. Baton Rouge and Mississippi again. I believe this was game 10 out of 21. And I thought this game was over early. Baton Rouge scores first. It's Don Carter Jr. scoring a minute 45 in, scoring on Anthony DeLacio. But Mississippi ends up countering 2, one by Philip Wong, one by Sam Turner. Both of them beat Greg Hussey. And it's 2-1 Mississippi going into the second. And then it's all Baton Rouge. It's Don Carter Jr. It's Scott Chirac on the power play. It's Bryce French on the same power play. It's Jake Cox on the same power play. Why the same power play? Because Joe Pace Jr. got himself a 5-minute major for cross-checking. Major, not a match penalty, though. So he was able to come back for the third period. But anyway, it's 5-2 at this point, and I'm thinking, Zydeco will have this wrapped up. Nope. Mississippi storms back. 3 goals in just over 5.5 minutes. It's Dmitry Kuznetsov. It's Hugo Koch. It's Matt Stoya on the power play. It's tied up at 5. Then Baton Rouge makes things really interesting. At the 17-minute mark of the third period, they end up with 2 guys in the box. So they've got to kill off a 5-on-3. So Noah Robinson was one of those 2 guys. He gets out of the box. The team ends up killing the 5-on-3. Mississippi couldn't capitalize. And Robinson sets up Kyle Stevens with 2 seconds remaining at the 1958 mark. Yep, Zydeco pull out a thriller, 6-5. Mississippi with their customary barrage of shots. They had 51 shots on goal. Baton Rouge had 40. Greg Hussey made one more save than Deloisio did, apparently. Hussey makes 46 saves. Don Carter Jr. With 2 goals. Scott Schrock with a goal and 2 assists. Hugo Koch had himself a great game. A goal, 3 helpers. Philip Wong also had 2 helpers with his score. But Deloisio just couldn't stop Stevens. So Baton Rouge improves now to 7-15-2. They have a lock on that 5th place position in the Continental. Mississippi falls to 11-14-1, tied in points with the Port Huron Prowlers, but they have one more regulation win than the Prowlers do. So Mississippi is technically in 3rd, Port Huron in 4th in the Continental Division. Final game of the night. Danbury, they were in Elmira the night before. They go up to Watertown. And guess what, everybody? Danbury is back. Yeah, they got off to a really slow start, but they are on a heater right now, and they are playing like the Danbury of old. They end up stealing some points out of Watertown, winning 5-3. Spencer Kozlowski got his first start in over a month for the Wolves, but just wasn't quite his night. He went up against a hot team. Johnny Ruiz, who else? He gets the team going, scoring on the power play, 11:42 into the first. And then Bonzinchenko, he scores. It's 2-0 Danbury, but Chiwetin Blacksmith, who's been by far the best player on the Wolves the last month or so, he gets a goal. It's now 2-1 at the end of 1. But then Danbury really took control of the game in the second. Goals by Corey Cunningham. He's also been red hot. He scores 15 seconds in. And then Jared Yao scores 4 minutes into the second period. Not to be outdone, not to lie down and die. Pavlov gets Watertown on the board again. So that's it halfway through the second. So we end up after 2. It's 4-2 Danbury. Watertown's hanging in there. And then in the third period, 5 minutes in, it's Alexander Gamzatov scoring on the power play. So now it's 4-3, and it's an interesting game. It's a contest. With 2:26 left, Watertown takes a timeout. They pull Kozlowski for the extra attacker. But Corey Cunningham, a minute later, ends up with a 150-foot shot into the empty net to seal the deal for the Hat-Tricks. It's a 5-2 win. Cunningham with the 2 goals plus an assist. Jacob Radcliffe very quietly ended up setting up 3. And Connor McCollum stopping 42 of 45. Meanwhile, for Watertown, Blacksmith, a goal and an assist. Michael Mercurio, he had 2 helpers as well. Kozlowski, he ended up going against a red-hot team, stopping 38 of 42 in 58-54 of ice time. So Watertown falls to 8-12-2. Danbury now winners of 4 in a row. They are 14-10-2. And all Empire Division teams, look out. Mainly Binghamton, because the next 4 games are head-to-head, Danbury and Binghamton. Next week, 2 in Danbury. The week after, 2 in Binghamton. That's it. So we're going to be having an interesting look at the standings for tomorrow's video. Tonight, don't forget, there is a game in Mississippi. Hopefully Blue Ridge can figure something out. Figure out how to get a puck in the net, because they need it. All right, so that is it for today. I am off to deal with White Hell. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you again here on YouTube tomorrow with Stars and Standings. Have yourself a great weekend, everyone, and be safe out there.